Hello, my name is Christisano Davenport, and I wrote 3 children's books, which are middle grade, and this is the second one that I would like to show you. It's called The Little People Journey into the Mystic Sea. This time it focuses on mainly the, the little girls in here. This other one, the first one, was about Deekadu and his friend Arthur. This one's going to focus on Trinity, her imaginary friend Ellery, and her human friend that she meets named Junia. Of course, all her family gets involved because they're a very close knit family and they all are connected and they help one another through everything. So, this one, I will show you the images. This one does not have an audio book. I'm working on that. I need to do that. But I also painted these in acrylic and put these in the book. And here is the Little People family. They are on an oak tree. And if you want to start out here, this is Grandpa Foster. And next to him is Grandma Tenenai. That's Benaway, Mayara, Cheppy, Deekadu, and Trinity. And they are the family of 7 little people who live in the hollow tree. All books have their own story. They do not need to be read one after another or in sync. They're all separate stories, but they could go together. So here's one of the paintings I did here. And here's Dopey the dolphin and Deekadu. And the girls, Cheppy and Trinity, Cheppy is one that she's very scientific and really hangs out with Grandpa Foster in his workshop. And then and Mayara likes to create things from the ocean. She picks up seashells and pearls and all kinds of bottle caps and things that she finds on the ocean shoreline. And she likes to create things and then she goes and sells them on the beach to the mermaids. And the mermaids come and they trade, which they don't have money. They trade. Here, Deekadu has a dream about a swimming horse, and you'll find out about that. And here's Selkie Ann. She's one of the mermaids, and that's their booth that they sell at. And you can see the mermaids coming. This is called a jingle bangle, and this is very important in the story. This was made by Selkie Ann, and it glows in the fog. The fog is very dense, and it could very much confuse you if you don't have light. And that is really a metaphor that's about, having light within you. And here are the girls at the ocean. They took a photo together. The center one is Mayara, Selkie Ann, that's mermaid Charisse, and her friend, and that is the governess, who is green and looks like, right here, she's the governess. She and her husband govern the 4 directions of the ocean, matter of fact, under the sea. There is a city there. And here is Junia, the human, and she lives on the beach in a little house with a rickety staircase. And that's her sleeping on her porch with all the wind chimes. And here is Trinity with her imaginary friend, Ellery. And this is Hollow Tree. And they're getting ready for a festival. and it is called the Dim Day Dance, the Dim Day Celebration. Here is Grandma Tenenai and Grandpa Foster. And that is the magical fairy cup. That holds powers, and they bring it to the festival every year. Well, the governess and her husband, they are very, very interested in that fairy cup because of its magical powers. This is Padre George. He is someone that you would think believes one way, but he believes in the elemental kingdom, and he's made fun of. He is actually not accepted for that. So I think there's a lesson in that, and you have to be strong into what you believe in the face of adversity. At one point, the fairy cup was stolen and it was missing for a long, long time. And Padre George, he found it and kept it, and then he gave it back to where it belonged. This is Junia's home. She's having cereal. And there's the rickety fence that needs repair. Now, it's Junia's birthday, and her girlfriends are celebrating on the beach. And of course, they have conversations about the magical creatures. Some believe and some don't believe. And I guess they get in a little bit of an argument over that. But that's okay. You'll see what happens. And Trinity is watching in the distance. She sees the sandcastle they built, and she's in awe at the human little girls. She really wants to play with them, but they don't see her. And here's Junia. She finally meets Deekadoo, but there is a big thing that happens on her birthday, and you'll find that out. And Deekadoo runs into her. Well, Trinity gets lost in the fog, and they're worried. So Deekadoo comes back to tell everybody at the Dim Day Dance, and they're a little concerned. So as far as this part of the story goes, Trinity has gone missing. So you would think. This is Magnus. He's an elf, and he calls into the Will-O-Wisp to come in and light the way so they can try to find her. And here's Junia, who also gets lost in the fog, and she meets up with a new friend she makes, who is a sea turtle named Willard. This is Charisse the mermaid. She shows up. She meets Junia, actually, and Trinity. And this is when the mermaids come up with Willard and Junia, and they see how terrible humans can be with the ocean and what they do with all the garbage. They do inspire children to save the planet or help with the planet. Now, this is the merfolk, and it looks like Trinity, Junia, and Willard are there, and you'll find out why. And there's Magnus the elf. He's guiding those will-o'-the-wisps. They're lighting up the way, so they begin their search. Dopey the dolphin, I should have mentioned him in the first book, and Deekadoo always goes to see him. So Deekadoo has a message and asks his best friend Dopey for help, and he wants to get the message out about Trinity missing. So Bird finds out, Squirrel finds out, and He's talking to Crab, and Crab is not convinced. He's very crabby. Here's the Dim Day Festival, and there is the governess. She has a jingle bangle on, and she has an agenda. Well, you'll find out what that agenda is. And there's Junia with Trinity. As you can see, Junia, Trinity, and Willard are locked up. You can see the horse there, and there's a guard, and there's all kinds of sharks guarding the gate there. This is a merman who has a conscience. He has integrity. And he does the right thing, and he isn't liked for that either by his fellow mates. Something happens at the very end, and they get the fairy cup right there. And they're underwater here. They're magical beings, and it'll explain more in the book. So Junia gets back to her parents, and I won't give that away. This is Junia's family, and that's the Dim Day celebration going on. And the rickety fence is all fixed up. And this is the next book we'll go to. I do have a little riddle in the back of the books, too, that children can really think about. I guess I can read this one. Believing is seeing what you want. Seeing might be believing what you don't want. Your inside eyes are your special sight to create your life in every way, but the environment you see with your eyes creates your thoughts every day. The beliefs that come from outside of you will make more of the same. To see a change, you must think out of the box. This is how you play the game. What you think, see, and feel at once is how you create your life. Be the observer in your heart and mind, not what will repeat your strife. This will promote a healthy brain to focus on joy rather than pain. See what you want as if it's happening now. The little people just showed you how. Because your imagination is your real tool, no matter what anybody else tells you. My books are in rhymes. When the little people speak, they speak in rhymes. But when the narrator speaks, they just tell the story. Now I'll read the synopsis of this book. Let me get it up here. Okay, this one might have some spoilers in it. But I won't tell you everything. Let's see. Okay, the little people journey into the mystic sea. This book focuses on Trinity this time, like I told you. She's the little girl fairy. Trinity has an imaginary friend named Ellery. She's introduced in book 1, and she tags along with Trinity on her adventure in this book, book 2. 3 stories are going on here in this little book, and they all come together. And it's with Trinity, the fairy, and her family in the elemental kingdom. The other is with Junia, the human girl, and her life by the ocean. And the other is about the mer people in the water city that ultimately brings the story together with a positive end. Okay. So Trinity, Mayara, and Cheppy, who you could believe is Trinity's mothers or aunties, artistically make crafts and essential oils from nature that they trade with the mermaids at the edge of the sea. Deekadoo goes along to visit Dulpy the dolphin and tells him a dream he had about Trinity, a trident, and a swimming horse. The mermaids begin to come to her vending booth, and a friend who is not so true, the merman governor's wife, the governess, who runs a small section of the underwater city. She and her husband have a terrible plan. A Selkie mermaid creates a magical bracelet that jingles when it detects the fog and begins to light your way in any foggy weather. Selkie Ann gifts them to the girls, but a storm is in the distance and it cuts their day short. The misty weather in the story is emphasized, which, if you are not aware, can take over and bring you into the other worlds. The only way to escape is through a gap in the fog. Trinity sees Junia, a human girl, playing on the beach with her girlfriends. In her excitement and talking to Ellery, her imaginary friend, Trinity drops her bracelet. Trinity is not noticed because humans cannot see real fairies, or mermaids for that matter. However, Junia believes in them, and when she states that, she is teased by her friends. By now, the fog is taken over and a storm is close in the distance, and Junia is upset and hurt at her friends, and she runs away. She happens to find a bracelet, picks it up, but seconds later, she cannot see anything as the fog rolls in. She wanders, trying to find her friends and her home that is right there on the shoreline, but gets lost. Trinity goes missing into the fog after she realized she lost her bracelet and decides to go back to find it. Mayara heads home in a hurry to get help while Deekadoo searches. The other Little People family are throwing a festival called the Dim Day Dance at Hollow Tree, where they present the fairy cup each year to celebrate with all the elemental creatures. And they're all the elemental creatures of the forest, actually. An announcement is made, and everyone pitches in to find Trinity. Magnus and the Will-o'-the-Wisp lead the way. Junia, now in another world, is startled and runs again when she bumps into Deekadoo, who is looking for Trinity. He sees Junia has Trinity's jingle bangle. Junia finds herself knee-deep in the ocean when Willard, the talking sea turtle, befriends her and helps her on her journey. In the meantime, the lost bracelet is a great opportunity for the merman and his wife to try to take over all 4 directions of the elemental kingdom by trying to steal the fairy cup. The fairy cup is known to have tremendous power, but not to someone who is not noble or true. Dulpy the dolphin tells us how important your dreams can be, and Deekadoo thinks his dreams can be a warning and revealing. Trinity rides Charisse on the mermaid and catches up to Junia and Willard in the underwater city when mermen come up swimming on horses and capture the newfound friends. As the governess goes to the Dim Day Dance to steal the fairy cup, will she succeed? At the same time, the misuse of its power is their undoing. All stories come together when Trinity sings a song of integrity that changes the governess in remorse. The Little People family find her, and she and Junia have to part ways when they bring her back to the shoreline safely to her worried family. And that's the gist of it. I also make fairy dolls too, if you're interested. They're all magical. So that is the Little People Journey into the Mystic Sea. If you're interested, check out my website or Amazon. Thanks a lot.